Hello, all you groovy people. I'm Scott Renz. I'm your instructor of Microsoft Excel VBA, Visual Basic Macros. This is class 103. It's the third in the series. Previously, we had 101 and 102. I hope you've seen those before. You've seen this one. Last time, we made a macro to combine names from the name sheet and city and state codes from the city sheet and made this third sheet names with cities. Now, as you recall, if you watched the last episode in VBA Excel Macros class 102, we looked at this code, but one thing we didn't do is look down here at the locals window. You can get a lot of information about the variables in this locals window. You see, it let us know the first name on that very last record when it was done running. The fellow's first name was Kenneth, last name was Wiki, and we were on that last row. It was row 2101, and the city ID was 120062. And the I, the incremental variable, went to 2102, which was higher than the last increment we wanted, 2101, since that was the last row. So when it went to 2102, the program stopped, the loop stopped. It stopped grabbing more entries for that new sheet. But another thing it does for this variable called C, which is the range, you see, it's not like the others where it just had a value. It had this C object and all its information. If we hit this plus, we can see the information that was available in C. And you see it had cells. It was column 1, and the width was 10. If you recall, we made the column width of that first column 10. Now let's count 1, because that's how many cells are in this. It was that final cell that had the country ID in it. So just one cell. Now it was column 1, but also it had a row. What row was it? The row 3778. That was the row, that last country ID that it looked for. That's what row it was in. And that's how we were able to, up here, and grab that city name, because it was C dot row. That's how we were able to do C dot row and grab that row number. So it's a lot of useful information you can get from this local variables. Now, the interesting thing is, we use the set command for that C, but look at this. What if, what if we said X equals C, and we said set Y equals C. Now see here, this one, we're just plain doing X is just going to get that value from C, whereas set Y equals C, it's going to get all that object information. Let's show how the two are different. Set this as the new statement to start at. Let's step into and then step into again. Now look at X, because X equals C, has that 120062, which is the same as what we see up here in city ID. So we was grabbing the value that was in that cell, just grabbing the value. When we said set Y equals C, look what it did. It made another object, a range object, as it did for C itself. Now Y has all that same information that C had as its object. So there's the difference when you use just a plain old X equals C as opposed to set Y equals C. Because the reason X got that value in C, we've got the values 2. Down here it values 2, value 2. That's how we got that value. So when we said X equals C, we're saying grab that value in C and put it in X. Whereas this set statement, we're saying, no, grab all the information about C and put it into Y as well. Well, that's how that works. Okay, now look at this names with city. Kind of looks like it's sorted by last name. Now, what if we want to sort it by state? And within the state, the city, and within the city, the last name, within the last name, first name. Now, how would we do that? Well, but if we wanted a macro to do it, automatically do it that way. Well, we can do it not with a macro, but if we say data and do sort, we can tell it to sort by, what column to sort by, but we didn't want to keep doing this each time and saying what columns and everything. We wanted it automatic, and we could have a macro to do that. Well, we could record a macro sort of macro, and we'll call it sort. Okay, and names. Let's make a macro like that. Okay, and now it's recording a macro. So now we're going to be saving the VBA code that would do all these things we're about to do. And what we're about to do is do this. We're going to do the sort. Now we want to sort by first state. And then next, we're going to sort by city. And next, we're going to sort by last name. Finally, in case there's two people with that last name in that city, we want to sort by first name. Okay, do that. Okay, there. You've got a new, new code. Let's see. Let's stop stop recording that macro. Stop it. Okay. And stop. So let's look at that macro that was made when we did record a macro and sorted that sheet. Now here's the code it made. And you could reuse this, sort it again without having to tell it all those columns. Just run this macro. But there is a problem with this. See, it has hard coded that we're going from row 2 to row 2101. What if later we've added more names, more people to that city sheet or to the names sheet and ran that macro that built the name, the names and state names sheet, names with state codes. They would have more rows, and this sort wouldn't look at all of the rows. It would stop here at 2101. That would be a problem. If we want to make this more generic, that we can change and we can run this again, we can do something about that and not have it have hard coded at 2101. We can again do like we did in that other macro, and we can make a variable called last row as long, and then say last row equals cells rows count A N. Where we want the N, we want it to go up all the way to the last row that had data, dot row. There, so now we'll have that available to us. And so we can change this, and it won't be to 210, 21, oh boy, won't be to 2101, be the D, and it will tack on to that last row. You see what we did here? We combined things. This here string literal, D2 colon D, and with this ampersand is saying tack on to that what's in last row. Last row will be what the number of that last row. So we can do that anywhere where we had this 2101 quote, anywhere where we had that, we can change that, replace it with quote ampersand last row. Let's replace all those. Boom. Okay, we've got them all replaced with that new configuration of getting what all rows we want to sort. So now we can have this generic, this routine, and we could actually put it in with our other one. Well, here, if we add it into this other workbook that has this other subroutine in it, here we have our sort data names. Well, we could actually tack on to oops, tack on to this, and we could say call. What do we call it? State sort date and names. We do a call. Make that the last thing it does. Call that sheet. Anything, any other change we want to do about that sheet, about that routine, subroutine? Well, let's see. It's hard coding this sheet and name the sheet's name. Well, we're happy with that. You know, if we were going to be changing that name or where the sheet was located, we'd have to do something about this active workbook in which sheets. But as it stands, that would work well as it is. So let's see what happens if we run it that way. So Here we are back at our workbook. I've eliminated that extra sheet. Now let's run our macro again that fills that sheet. Remember, this time we added in this macro sort state and names. We added that in there here. So let's run that and see what we get. We should get a new sheet. And this time it'll be sorted not by the person's last name, but it'll be sorted by the state code. And within that, cities within that state, and within that, by the people's last name, and then first name. And there you have it. You see now, it's all pre-sorted by state code. Within the state code, by city names, and then two from the same city. I don't notice any name. If there were two people from the same city, it would then be sorted by, oh, here's one down here, Randolph County. There was two there, so there F comes before J. So there you have it. So now we've learned you can look at the characteristics of those variables in the local pane when you're looking at macros. And we learned that you could make a sort macro by using record a macro and adjusting it as to how many rows you want it to sort. So that's it for this class. I hope you enjoyed. See you the next time.